All right, welcome to the week of April 27th. We are officially done with circles. So, we are going to do the volume of three-dimensional shapes this week, which a lot of it will be review and should be a fairly easy week for you. You're welcome. All right, another nice thing is that there's 5 shapes that we have to know how to find the volume for, so that works out nice, one for each day. So I'll start you off with the easiest one for today, which is a rectangular prism or a cube. And most of you probably already know to find the volume of a rectangular prism or a cube, it's length times width times height. But I want to get you to try and not necessarily forget that formula, but look at it from a different perspective, which is area of the base times the height. Because three-dimensional shape has 3 dimensions. It has length, width, and height, whereas a two-dimensional shape only has 2 dimensions, length and width. Becomes 3 dimensions when it comes up off the table. If you could draw a rectangle on a slate, and then if that rectangle raises up off the slate, now it's a box, now it has 3 dimensions. Well, say the shape you drew on the slate was a pentagon, and then that pentagon got height and came up off the slate, it's still a prism and it's still area of the base times the height. Or let's say that shape on the slate was a circle. That's a 2 dimensional shape, a circle. You would find the area of that circle, and then if it was given height and came up off the slate like a cylinder, it would be area of the base times the height. So the point I'm trying to make is that the area of the base could be any shape. It could be a triangle, a square, a circle, a pentagon, a hexagon, whatever. It's 2 dimensionals. It's 2 dimensional, and then when it comes up off the slate, it has height. Now it's 3 dimensional. So it's area of the base times the height. Now, depending on what the base is, to figure the area of the base is going to be a different formula. It's a different formula to find a triangle than it is to find the area of a rectangle. So that's why it's area of the base. Area of the base could be any shape, and you just plug in the formula for area of that shape, and then you multiply it by the height. So we're going to start off with squares and squares and rectangles are length times width. So I drew a little rectangle on there. Now it doesn't look like a rectangle, it looks like a parallelogram, but I'm going to turn this into a 3 dimensional shape. That's why I drew it like that. So just work with me here for a second. So that's going to be a rectangle that's 3 by 10. So the area of the rectangular base is 30 inches squared, because it's length times width. It's a rectangle, so 30 inches squared. Now the height, there is no height, but I'm going to turn this 2 dimensional object into a 3 dimensional object by giving it height. So it's going to look now like a box, an aquarium even some might say, or whatever type of box you're thinking of. All right, so now it has height. Now it's 3 dimensions, and I'll say that height was 5 inches. So now it's area of the base, length times width, which we already figured was 30, times the height, which is 5. 30 times 5 is 150, and therefore the volume of the rectangular prism is 150 inches cubed. So that's important, the units, because that's where some students miss problems on these tests. Is you might have 2 answers that are 150, and one of them's inches squared and one of them's inches cubed on a multiple choice test. If it's a 3 dimensional shape, it's got to be units cubed. If it's a 2 dimensional shape, it's units squared when it comes to area and volume. So that's the work for today. Finding the volume of boxes should be pretty easy. Go do it.